Once again, welcome to my channel, Kumar at Exam Guru. This video is related to construction management, and this video will be dealing with the topic CPM and PERT in construction management. This is the most demanding topic in construction management, and the introduction to construction management will be presented in the coming videos. And please watch till the end of this video, because at the end of this video there will be an animation to understand the concept. Before going into CPM and PERT, you should know the basics of network diagrams. So what is activity? Any task or work that consumes resources and time is known as activity. An activity is represented by arrow. Event. An event represents the start or finish of an activity. An event represents an instant or approval and is represented by circle. Event is classified into two types: tail event and head event. Tail event, an event represents the start of an activity. Head event, an event represents the finish of an activity. It's a typical and the most simple network diagram where the activity is mentioned on the top of the arrow, and at the beginning of the arrow there is tail event, and at the end of the arrow there is head event. Let's take example. Consider the construction of a house. Following are the basic activities involved in the construction. Number 1, site investigation. Number 2, excavation of soil for foundation. Number 3, construction of foundation. Number 4, erection of formwork for superstructure. Number 5, erection of superstructure. Number 6, MEP works, that is mechanical, electrical and plumbing. Number 7, finishing. Let's look at each of these activities and the tail events and the head events associated with each of these. The first activity is site investigation, where survey is conducted and soil testing is done. The tail event for this activity will be issuance of work order for soil investigation. Only after this issuance the activity can be performed, so that is the tail event. And the head event for this activity is the site investigation report submitted. So after the activity is completed, the site investigation report is prepared and submitted. So that marks the head event for this activity. The next activity is excavation of soil, and the tail event is the site investigation report submitted and issuance of work order for soil excavation. And the head event is soil excavation completed. We can note that the tail event for this activity and head event of the previous activity are same. The previous activity was site investigation, and the head event of the previous activity was site investigation report submitted, which is the tail event for this activity. The next activity is construction of foundation. Tail event for this activity is excavation of soil completed and design drawings approved. The head event for this activity is finish of construction of foundation. We have to note that the tail event for this activity and head event of the previous activity are same. The next activity is erection of formwork. The tail event is finish of construction of foundation, inspection and approval of formwork erection, and the head event is finish of erection of formwork. And we have to note that the tail event for this activity and head event of the previous activity are same. The next activity is erection of superstructure. The tail event is completion of formwork for the topmost slab and approval of concreting, and the head event is finish of erection of superstructure. And we have to note that the tail event for this activity and the head event of the previous activity are same. Now next activity is the MEP works of a building. The tail event will be finish of superstructure and approval of safety certification, pressure test and flow test. And the head event is readiness for pipes, electrical conduits and firefighting sprinklers. Here also the tail event and the head event of the previous activity are same. The last activity is finishing works of a building. The tail event is final checks for MEP and check for any leakage is completed, and the head event will be the house is ready for occupancy. Now, how to connect activities in a network diagram. Let's take two activity 1 and activity 2. Now, if the head event of activity 1 and tail event of activity 2 are same, then we can connect both the activities. We can link activity 1 and 2 in a network diagram. So considering the activities of previous example, the network diagram will be as shown here. And in this network diagram, if the head event of preceding activity and tail event of succeeding activity are same, the activities are linked. In this case, site investigation is followed by soil excavation, which is followed by construction of foundation, which is followed by erection of formwork, which is followed by erection of superstructure, which is followed by MEP of the building, and finally finish of the building. Now, what is critical path method? It was introduced by Morgan R. Walker and James C. Kelly in 1950. CPM is used mainly for cost optimization and resource allocation, especially when the task durations are known and predictable. CPM is a deterministic approach which assumes fixed time for each activity. CPM is based on critical path, which is the longest path of activities that determines the project's duration. CPM enables managers to balance time and cost trade-off. Cost trade-off means speeding up certain activities to increase the cost or delaying certain activities to decrease the cost. A program evaluation and review technique, that is PERT, was introduced by Charles E. Clark of the US Navy in 1958. PERT is used mainly for time estimate and control, especially when the task durations are unknown. PERT uses three time estimates, that is optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic time, to calculate expected durations. The goal of PERT is to minimize project duration uncertainty and identify potential delays. What is critical path? Critical path represents the longest sequence of interdependent tasks that must be completed on time to ensure the entire project is finished on schedule. Any delay in a critical path task will delay the entire project. Activities that are not on the critical path have some flexibility in their scheduling. Now let's look at the conversation between the owner and the construction engineer to understand the basic difference between CPM and PERT. On the left is Mr. X, the owner, and on the right is Mr. Y, the construction engineer.
Mr. Y, I've been looking at our schedule, and I'm worried. We need the office ready by December, which was scheduled initially by January for our product launch. Can we speed this up?
Well, Mr. X, we can use critical path method CPM and program evaluation and review techniques PERT to sort it out.
Could you tell briefly the difference between the two methods?
Well, Mr. X, based on both CPM and PERT, if we want to finish sooner, we'll need to identify critical path and crash some activities on the critical path.
Crash? That doesn't sound good.
Critical path represents the longest sequence of interdependent tasks that must be completed on time to ensure the entire project is finished on schedule. So we have to identify all the activities on critical path and try to crash it to reduce the time of project.
Oh, I see that.
In construction management, crashing refers to speeding up the project, which increase the project costs, while slowing it down may save money. In your case, it is necessary to complete earlier than the scheduled time, so crashing is the only option.
So it's like paying extra to fast-track certain tasks.
Let's say foundation work is on the critical path and takes 14 days normally. If we add more workers or work overtime or use better equipment, we might finish in 10 days. But labor and machine costs go up. That is known as crashing.
If we use PERT method of construction management, will it be better than CPM?
Mr. X, we can use PERT only to tasks where durations are uncertain and the tasks may involve risks and delays, where we need to depend on probability. Hence, for such task, we are interested in knowing when that activity will get completed. Since completion of an activity represent an event, PERT is event-oriented.
Mr. Y, can you give an example?
We can use PERT for site investigation. Because site investigation involves results of soil test, use of surveying equipment, etc., whose results are subjected to fluctuations due to rainfall, equipment failures, etc. We use 3 time estimates for such activities involved in PERT optimistic time. O for perfect weather and no delays. Most likely. M for normal weather conditions, pessimistic. P in case of heavy rain and material delays. PERT uses a weighted average of 3 time estimates based on probability for each activity to compute the expected time, TE. The formula is TE equals open parenthesis, O plus 4 times M plus P close parenthesis divided by 6. The expected time calculated by this formula will give the time of finish of that task based on probability. Hence, the time of that event here is completion of that task, will be known.
So you can use CPM for some activities and PERT for other activities, depending on the uncertainties of the activity.
Yes, Mr. X, you got it right. For stable activities such as construction of foundation, superstructure, etc., the duration can be easily fixed, and CPM is preferred for such activities, but for the activities with uncertainties whose duration cannot be fixed easily, such as site investigation, PERT is preferred.
Based on the above conversation, what are the key differences between CPM and PERT? Number 1, CPM is activity-oriented and PERT is event-oriented. So PERT is event-oriented because PERT is used in case of uncertain activities to find the finish time. So the finish of an activity is an event, so PERT is event-oriented. The next difference is CPM is deterministic model because the fixed time duration is assigned for every activities, but in the case of PERT, it is based on probabilistic model. As was explained in the conversation, there is optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time. And TE, that is expected time, is calculated in PERT. Critical path method involves activities of repetitive nature and PERT involves activities of non-repetitive nature, because in PERT the uncertain activities are assigned which is non-repetitive. CPM is suitable for non-research projects and PERT is suitable for research projects because research involves uncertainty and PERT is used in case of uncertainty. CPM is focusing on cost control, whereas PERT is focusing on time control because PERT is used to determine the time for uncertain activities. CPM involves one-time estimate because the duration is fixed, whereas PERT involves three-time estimate, which is optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time. Now let's look at the 5 questions based on the topics we have discussed so far. Question 1, which of the following represent an activity? Option A, completion of superstructure. Option B, approval for site investigation. Option C, submission of site investigation report. Option D, none of the above. So if you look at option A, option B, and option C, they are events because all these 3 options represents completion or approval or submission, which are part of the event. So the right answer will be option D, none of the above. Question 2, which of the following represents an event? So the same options as that of question 1. So the right answer will be option D, all the above. Question 3, which method of construction management is most preferred for repetitive activities? The right answer is option A, CPM. I have already mentioned PERT is used for non-repetitive activities and CPM is used for repetitive activities because there is fixed time durations in CPM. Question 4, which method of construction management focus on cost control? The right answer is option A, CPM. I have mentioned PERT is used for time control, but CPM is used for cost control. Question 5, the expected time is calculated in case of, so the right answer will be option B, PERT. So the expected time is based on probabilistic formula.
Mr. Y, could you reschedule certain activities so that the construction can finish early without much loss?
Yes, Mr. X. First, I need to look at the network diagrams and identify the critical path. I need a few days to find the solution.
The conversation between the owner and the engineer will continue in the next video. The next video will be dealing with the critical path along with suitable examples. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and press the bell icon to receive more updates.